But, the overall story is I knew that, I took a gamble, I took a bet, I took however you wanted to, and I put in the time and effort to make it successful so that, now I have, a girl, I have a son, all this stuff. I'm able to travel to Chicago free of charge, hang out with everybody. I get to travel all over the United States on the company's expense and eat at wonderful places. So, if you look back at my 22-year-old, I was like, what are you doing? And, I'm looking now and I'm like, man, you made the right decision.
Welcome, Ryan, to the Betting Public podcast. I bet you didn't know I had a podcast.
No, I did not, Mike, man. I had no idea. I'm actually here from Dallas and for some work and flew down here, hung out with you on Monday, and you told me about this and, asked me to come on here. And, man, I was excited. I'm very excited being on here. I'm missing, I know Vinny's not here. I was just wondering what happened to Vinny. What's going on with him today?
He's scared.
Scared? He's scared? No, come on now.
No, he's not scared. He's going to come pretty soon in a couple weeks. It's going to be really exciting. When he's here, we're going to do it every week. But he's going to be a big part of it. He's going to give a lot of good info. Like, he's really good at? He's really good at bankroll management. Like, he knows, like, he's got, like, really good skills as far as, like, managing, how he makes his bets and all different, like, that's kind of what this is. Like, we don't really want to, like, give out free picks or anything like that. It's not, like, what we do. It's more like, we're just talking of how we've been betting, what we've been doing. I'm pretty involved in crypto. So, actually today, there's been nothing but crypto news for the last couple days, actually, which we'll talk about that. But yeah, so I've done a couple episodes so far. It's been okay. I'm 1-1 actually, and actually giving out picks. Did very well in the first episode. The second 1.5 I lost, so it doesn't even matter. We're not even gonna give out a pick today. We're gonna kind of keep this a little bit about crypto, and we're gonna keep this about you a little bit, and getting back to the podcast episodes. This is episode number 2, and I really don't have anywhere to go as far as betting on this podcast. The total amount of crypto talk that's been happening with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, it's like crazy. It takes up all your time, and when you're involved with that type of stuff, you can't think about sports betting. I mean, the last sports bet that I had was on Monday. Tuesday we had elections. And ever since, Tuesday, there's been a lot of information that's been coming out with crypto. And as soon as, like, all this information comes out, like, it just consumes all of my, like, time and effort. And when you're not putting the time and effort to win these bets, like, you're just gambling, which is something that I don't want to do. Like, when I look at my bets, like, the other night, I had a bet that the Bulls were going to beat the Toronto Raptors on Monday. That was like a week in the making. Like, I saw it on the schedule. It was something that I planned, thought out, tracked it. Everything happened the way I thought it was going to happen. They lost to Toronto the night before. Then they go to Chicago. Even the books reacted where they took the Bulls as a dog, and then they made them a favorite. And they're just telling you a story all in itself with that. It wasn't just home and road. It was more than that. But, when you have a lot of different crypto news come out, it really consumes you. Now, I'm not going to try to push it,
So, me, I live in Texas and, I don't really do crypto. I don't really do any of that stuff. But, biggest question, a lot of people probably going to ask is, where do you get your news from? Where do you... where are you finding this information? So if I got into it, maybe I'll check it out, maybe watch a video or, read an article to get better educated so I can, understand further on about this.
So I've been involved with crypto now for since early 2017. And as far as, my journey through the entire crypto space, it has revolved around really good YouTubers, to be quite honest. There's a lot of bad YouTubers, a lot of good YouTubers. You've seen them come and go throughout the years. And I can almost tell you that there's almost no YouTuber that was around in 2017 that's around now that I still watch. There might be some, but there's not some, because the way they, go through some of these bear markets, they'll stop posting and they'll start doing all types of weird, shilling of different coins. So, I kind of know what to gravitate to and gravitate away from. And that's important, So I get my bulk of my information from a group of Twitter people as well. So you got Twitter, which is major, and YouTube. Now, I keep, as much of an ear into the crypto space as I do like the sports betting space, but you really have to prolong it. So like, crypto goes in cycles, sports betting, like it might take me a week to come up with something that I truly, really like, or maybe a day or even a couple hours or whatever it is. That's short term. When you're talking crypto, you're talking long term. When I was involved in 2017, we started a bear market in 2018. So I got all this exposure of loss, right? Like I know what I'm looking for. And then you get this big boom after the bear market. Now, that's not going to say that that's going to happen this time, but the story is that I've seen, let's say, every season,
So it's good to say that like you've been watching this market, the ups and downs for a while, and that's a good point to start at is, see where the highs and lows are.
The good thing about watching the market, right, is sometimes the market can pass you by. And that happened to me. Even though I was watching the market. And how it happened to me was with NFTs. I never got involved with NFTs. I was involved with a crypto coin early on in 2017 that sounded like an NFT, and this was on Binance and they went up. But what I'm trying to get at is I missed out on FTX. I never even opened an FTX account. Like I have a lot of different crypto accounts. Now, if you're not aware, FTX went under. Sam Bankman-Fried, he basically stole all the money,
Yeah.
put it in terms
Wow.
well, so there's exchanges. They're called CEX, centralized exchanges, where some people will leave their money in the exchange. Now, the reason why some people would do that is because they're scared to move it to a cold wallet, or they're actively trading it. And it's a little bit easier to have it on an exchange if you're trading. So there's a lot of people that got hurt. And, I'm very fortunate. Actually, I reached out to John to make sure. I'm like, hey, did you open up an FTX account? Like, do you have any FTT? And he's like, no, I think he had an FTX account, but he said, like 3 months ago, he pretty much liquidated it. He got everything out. But, I'm very fortunate because, FTX would have been an exchange that I would have used if I was coming into the crypto space in, let's say, 2019, 2020, even 21. Well, not 2019. I'm not too sure about that, but especially during the Super Bowl, they had Super Bowl commercials. And if you were new to the space, you got that exposure and you started using FTX because Tom Brady is using FTX, and you kept your money on the exchange, you're hurting. They took all your money. It's a complete L. It's bad. So that's like, hearing that, keeping, so it's like, it's such big news that it just like overwhelmed me with like, oh my God. And then just looking and trying to find out, everything that's going to be, happening because of it, it's pretty crazy. The one thing that I will say, I keep all my crypto on a cold storage. It's fine. I'm good. I was really anticipating something like this happening, and I wasn't expecting it to be this soon. I was expecting an exchange to go down, like in a couple years. One of these minor exchanges would get bigger and they would go down. But, not FTX. And maybe that's where we're at. I was just a couple years too soon. But I think the crypto space is going to rebound. Like I said, I'm very involved with crypto on a not on a macro level. I'm not big in the space, but like I watch a lot of stuff. It's really great. As far as all the trolling that goes between some of the armies that some of these coins have, it's pretty fun. But in general, I can say I've done okay with crypto. It'll be something that I'm gonna do my whole entire life. So that's consumed all my sports betting. I don't have a pick tonight. We will hit the tables up. All right. We're going to hit the crap table up. We were there Monday. I had one bet, like I said, the Bulls, that hit. That was great. The one thing that we did wrong was we went to the crap table. And we both lost. We didn't lose a lot. It wasn't fun, right? I thought from the start, I thought we were going to lose. I really did. Did you have that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I had that feeling, but I also had that feeling like I can't gamble in Texas, so I want to get as much as I can in. We had a bad feeling, and we looked at the tables, and I kind of have a gut feeling for one table, but then it got like super crowded. I was like, no. And we went to a different table, and it started going okay, and then I was like, man, we should just stop. And we played one more guy, and it was just not our day for that day.
So we were trying to win games. We weren't trying to win money, were we?
No.
That's what I told you afterwards, and before we came on here, I thought about that. It's one of my big models. Are you trying to win games, or are you trying to win money? What we should have done was we should have just taken the money that we would have put on the crap table, put it into the pick that I had so much time already involved with. I already had, all the time invested in finding that, having the confidence, and then we didn't play it, and it is what it is.
So one of my questions for you, Mike, is time-wise, you invest time in sports betting and into crypto. What do you think takes up more of your time to do the research in?
I put in so much energy in a lot of things, but
you're a busy guy. I know.
Crypto, it will take up time if I have to move something. Okay, if I have to maybe exit a position, if I have it in a cold wallet and say I have to start doing something with it, that's time. But as far as like research, it'll kind of come to me. You'll see it. You just follow certain people, in social media, on Twitter, and you'll see some things on YouTube, and, just kind of get like a broad market view. Now, with sports betting, you really have to hone in on the particular feeling that you have about a certain situation or a game that you want to bet. So with the Bulls that night, obviously I'm from Chicago, so it was kind of a fanboy bias, but like it was a situation where it wasn't fanboy. It was strictly, it fit every criteria. They were playing home and road. The books were going to tell you how the numbers were going to, go. There's literally no teams in between. So the book is going to tell you what they're thinking. Okay. And we were expecting certain players to be out, like Levine. And if he was in the first game, I think they would have won. And then that would have totally thrown off my plan. But the plan was, when we looked at it initially, okay, they're going to probably play Levine one game. They're probably going to play him at home. And that's what they did. He ended up scoring a lot of points. They ended up winning that night. So when I put in the research to sports betting, that is more like focused, like maybe, a half hour here. If I'm doing like future look aheads, right? Like it takes me a whole week. Maybe I'll take a half hour to briefly go over the whole week, right? Of just seeing where schedule spots I can maybe take advantage of. Then we narrow those down and we take a look at the particular teams and we take a look at how the book has been treating these teams and has the book been right? And how close has the book been to these numbers that they're putting out there? You know, a lot of the stuff that I try to do is look at what the book is doing and reading the book and not even, handicapping the teams as much, but handicap the books. So even when I'm putting in time for handicapping sports teams, I'm really not even putting as much energy into, whether a particular player is playing good or how, I think, their defense is going to match up against some offense. It's nothing like that. It's how accurate has the book been and where will they go next and how were they in the past? Because they're going to tell you everything you need to know. And, I was having a discussion with a guy and he was asking me about the Packers for this weekend. And he was asking me if he would take the Cowboys. And he said, what do you think the number is? He didn't know. He legitimately did not know. And what he told me was, take a look and find out, talk to me. So I went and I told him, I go, it's showing me 4 right now. And I go, let me backtrack. Before I did that, I go, I bet it's going to be about 6, 7, 6.5, 7. And it's 4. And, that just seems short. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. One team going in one direction, the other team going in another direction. The Packers haven't been covering at all. And now you're only going to give them 4 points against Dallas Cowboys. I know Mike McCarthy, if we're talking about like X's and O's, Mike McCarthy is the old coach of the Packers. When you used to live in Illinois, I think Mike McCarthy was a coach,
Yeah.
But so basically what I'm trying to say is I looked at a game today briefly. I have this suspicion the book is short, and I think they're trying to get you to take Dallas because only laying 4 against the Packers right now. I don't know. I see that seems really short. So if they're really trying to get people to take the Cowboys, they're gonna make them lay a small number, and people are gonna see that and generally jump on it. And honestly, at this point today, the way I feel, and that this might change, I feel like the Packers might be able to cover this. And if it was 6, I would maybe go the other way. But right now it's 4, and I just find that peculiar. And that's just kind of the way I'll bet. So I'll keep an eye on this game. I want to see where the number goes. We're going to see we're going to see a lot of changing of that line. Now we're not going to get a line in which it's true to what the books put out. It's going to be true to how the market's going to react to that line, meaning that line's going to move because people are putting money on it versus the book. It's out the book's hands. They already had their prediction. They put it out there. If there was money that came in on the Packers and that drove down the number, it would have been by sharp bettors too, which would be an indication that the Packers are still the right side. It would have been people earlier in the week that have money that are willing to wait a whole week to get their money in if they win it a week later. So you have to give, let's say the number comes out or the week starts over on Monday and you want to make a bet. Well, you're going to give the book money and they're going to have it for a whole week. You're not going to have it. So the only people who do that are people who are really confident in that line. So, and I doubt people right now are betting the Packers. Nobody wants the Packers. It's a free for they're in a, this is Aaron Rodgers' worst year probably. So, that's a story that, again, it took me longer to tell a story than I've put into actual research into the game, but it's on my radar. Tomorrow I'll probably look into it more, see how the line goes. I'm gonna say at the end of the day, by the time I put my bet in, if I do, I would have put in probably about 2 hours of legit thinking about it, looking at it, and if I'm going to put more money into it, then I'll do more research. You can never do too much research, but at the same time, when you're looking at sports betting or any type of money scam in return type ordeal, right? You don't want to get too involved with it, but you also don't want to just do it. You want to be able to put your time into it.
Yeah, so it's fair to say, you're doing the time spent on research, how you're going to swing, which way, a little bit of gut feeling, how you've seen in the past.
No gut feeling here. No
gut feeling?
No gut feeling here. That's for Vinny.
As for Vinny, that's Vinny.
Oh man, that guy, he loves gut feelings, bro.
Oh boy.
I mean, it sounds kind of weird. No, he like that's all his betting. It's just like, yeah, I gotta, this is.
Oh, that's the worst way to bet.
I got a gut. This is gonna happen. I think this is gonna happen. I got a gut feeling. It's like, whoa.
Maybe I shouldn't have said gut. I'm saying you're looking at the data and you're saying I think it's gonna go this way.
Yeah.
And you're confident enough to put it on there. My bad on the gut feeling part. That's a Vinny. Maybe when Vinny shows up here, he'll talk about guts.
So we do have a Discord where we put in all our picks. But like I said, this podcast is more than sports picks. Now one of the reasons why you're here is because this is the Betting Public podcast. You're public. You bet on yourself when you were younger. Now, you lived in Illinois. You went to Texas, right?
Correct.
What happened? Fill me in. What?
So, a little bit of backstory. I was living here in Chicago, being 22 at the time, not making the best decisions in life, lost my car, lost my job, and I wanted to get away. So I called up one of my buddies. He was a store manager at a Kmart. Told me I had a job. I had about $1,500 in my bank. 22 years old. Hopped on a train. Got all the way down there. Got 1 month rent paid. Had about 2 suitcases full of stuff. No bed, no nothing, man. And I started working and I started, trying to change myself, because I knew that I could be great and I could be, a successful person. I just had to make a change in my life. So that's one of the main reasons why, I moved to Dallas. Well, actually, I moved to Texas. I lived in Abilene. And the funny thing is, looking at, we talked a little bit about, planning things out, looking at, what's going to happen in the future, making, your educated guess. For some reason, every time I started a job, within the first 6 months, I was like, this company's going under. And it just kept happening, man. I worked at a Kmart. Guess what? Kmart's not around anymore. I actually worked at like a Dollar General. That sucker closed. And then I worked at a newspaper. And when I was working at a newspaper, I worked there for about 2 years. And after about the first year, I was like, man, newspapers are not going to be around. And guess what happened? 3 years after I left that job, they closed down. And I'm like, man, I must be, shutting companies down. I'm working too bad, I guess. I don't know, man. But every time I start a new job, the company goes under. And hopefully, luckily, I've made better decisions in jobs and looking into the future. I've been in my same industry for about 14 years now. Different couple other jobs, but make more money here, stuff like that. But the overall story is I knew that I took a gamble, I took a bet, I took however you wanted to, and I put in the time and effort to make it successful, so that now I have a girl, I have a son, all this stuff. I'm able to travel to Chicago free of charge, hang out with everybody. I get to travel all over the United States. on the company's expense and eat at wonderful places. So, you know, if you look back at my 22-year-old, I was like, what are you doing? And, you know, I'm looking now and I'm like, man, you made the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty big gamble just from the standpoint of not knowing what the future held, right? You know, and you go down there, and like you said, you started working at Kmart, and Kmart goes under, and then Dollar General goes under, and it's like all these places, right? Like, but you use these places as stepping stones to get where you're at now. And this is kind of like a wild story. It's like not many people do this. It's like, you know, they decide, you know, I want to migrate somewhere, and then have to, you know, put in all the work, you know, and be able to move up, you know, find a career that you like and that, you know, you're successful in. It's you know, a lot of people can't make that bet. You know, part of this podcast is going to be talking about like size of bets and whatever, and like not being scared of making certain bets. Like one of the scariest bets someone can make is on themselves. You know, is can you bet on yourself to do something? And like if you went down to Texas and let's say you didn't like it, you know, you can come back, you know, that wasn't like a particular bet. That was just you going on their vacation. But no, you're like, no, I'm going to work at this place and I'm going to work at this place. And, you know, not saying that people don't want to work today, but I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know too many people that would go and make these type of transitions, you know, but like, and willing to like put in the work and like, you know, just,
You know,
it's pretty wild.
and the biggest thing, you know, is I didn't have any friends or family down there.
No, that support
I
system.
I knew a guy that I worked with here in Chicago at a store, and I had his number, and I just gave him a call and was like, hey, if I come down there, can I get a job? And he said, yeah, just fill out the application. And, you know, he didn't believe that I was actually going to be there. And about 7 days later, was there, had an apartment, showed up, opened up his doors, and filled out the application at Kmart.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm happy for you, and like I said, it's a really great story. When you were coming on here, I wanted to make sure that you can relate to, you know, this is the betting public, and you're not much of a bettor. What can you offer? Hey, man, you make bets all the time on yourself, and you made a pretty big bet, and you know you've hit it, you know, and congratulations, you know, that was a bet that I don't think many people would have made. You know,
I appreciate it, man. And, you know, just listening, you know, how you're passionate about it, you know, with this crypto and gambling, you know, even if someone isn't a bettor, you know, it's something good to listen to, you know, if they want to get into the future, you know, how much time and effort you put into it, and your expertise, and, you know, just the bet that you put on yourself is, you know, different from many other people. So like when we are, you know, on the outside looking in, you know, it's a big, you know, improvement in life.
mm-hmm. Yeah.